Every year, May the 4th rolls around, and I always say I'm going to do something to celebrate Star Wars Day, and then I never quite get around to it. This year, I decided we're going all in, and we are celebrating Star Wars Day. I'm going to be making a Star Wars themed dinner, doing a few DIYs so I can set a fun Star Wars themed table. Even though I want to go all in for this event and make it feel as much like Star Wars as possible, I still want to keep it budget friendly and affordable. So I will be trying to do DIYs that are really easy and affordable using some items I already have. I haven't decided on the menu yet, but I have 2 Star Wars themed cookbooks. I have the Star Wars Galactic Baking Cookbook. I also have the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, the official Black Spire Outpost cookbook. All of these recipes look like they belong in the world of Star Wars. So I think this is going to be a really fun cookbook to pick my dinner menu from. Everything in this cookbook just fits the world of Star Wars so well, and there are some really interesting recipes I'd be willing to try. So if you love food, a little DIY, and making magic at home, hang out with me while I cook, craft, decorate, and enjoy an evening of Star Wars themed festivities. For my first DIY, I thought this would make a big impact on the table with minimal investment. I thrifted a bunch of these charger plates for less than $1 each. You can also find charger plates at the dollar store. I'm going to spray paint these charger plates black and then hopefully add a galaxy or star scene on top of them. It's not going to be in your face Star Wars, but I think it will add a little touch of the galaxy and that space themed feel to our table setting. All right, let's go outside and spray paint these plates, and then I can get started on my other DIY as I wait for these to dry. I washed the charger plates with soap and water so that the spray paint will adhere to them better. This is the black spray paint I happen to have on hand, so I hope it works out well with the chargers. Make sure your chargers are completely dry before applying your first coat of spray paint. Spray paint should be applied in light coats to keep the paint from dripping. With spray paint, you do need to do a few coats to get a full even coverage, so I'll go back out in 5 to 10 minutes and give another coat to those plates. They might need 2 to 3 coats to get a full black coverage on. Felt like I was getting a lot of steps running between the house and the backyard every few minutes to add a new coat of paint. I ended up doing about 4 coats of light spray paint to get a solid coverage on my plates. Make sure to spray from lots of different angles and look at the plates from all sides to make sure there are no areas that are getting missed, especially on the rim. Let's jump into day 2 of our Star Wars DIYs. What I accomplished yesterday was spray painting my charger plate black. Today I want to try and paint some galaxy scenes on them. I'm torn between keeping them black and white, doing a black charger with some star patterns on it, or doing kind of a purpley blue galaxy scene. I have all of my black chargers painted and ready to be decorated. I have my black spray painted chargers. I have 6 of them. I think I might only need 4 for the dinner I'm putting together, but I want to create a few more plates so I can host larger dinners in the future. For my first plate, I was playing around with techniques and trying to come up with a design I was happy with. Each charger plate ended up looking a little different, and that's the beauty of handmade art. But I also feel like my technique got better with each plate I painted, so the last plates are my favorite. The process I settled on because it gave me a little more control was adding a light splatter painting with an old toothbrush, then going in with the rounded end of a paintbrush and adding little dots all around. Then I would go in and add my star shapes. If you aren't comfortable freehanding stars, you could use a star stencil or draw the shapes out in pencil before you paint. I also have a tip for cleaning up your lines and shapes later if they don't end up looking as perfect as you would like the first time. I just finished another plate. I went around each of the stars and did 2 more coats of the white, so I had a nice opaque color. What I'm gonna do now is take a little bit of black acrylic paint and a fine tip paintbrush, and I'm gonna go around the edges of some of the stars with the black just to make them a little bit cleaner and more crisp. It will blend into the background of the black paint, so if you've made any mistakes while painting or you just want to clean up your shapes a little bit so they are nice and sharp and defined, I recommend taking the time to do this extra step. After I'm done with the black paint, outlining anything I want to, I'm going to cover the plates with high gloss varnish. This will protect the paint from chipping, and if you get a little bit of crumbs or food onto the plate, it will be easy to wipe them off and clean them. I have one here that I have put the high gloss finish on. I've done 3 to 4 coats, letting it dry 5 to 10 minutes in between each coat. It's going to give you a nice glossy solid finish. These chargers will not be food safe. You do not put food directly onto chargers. Chargers go under your other dishes, so you can place ceramic, plastic, paper dishes on top, and this adds a nice statement to the table. If you watch closely, you can see that I'm outlining the stars with black paint. It makes the tips of the stars look more pointy and less rounded. I'm out with my daughter. We are going to stop by a few stores and look for some Star Wars inspired items to finish off some of the DIYs we're doing for our Star Wars themed dinner. We stopped at Michael's. They had a great selection of licensed fabrics with lots of Star Wars patterns to choose from. I really liked all the black and white patterns because I thought they would look classy on the table and be very versatile. I loved how classic and elegant this fabric looked. I love the gold detail and the simplicity of it. Our next stop was Walmart. I needed to pick up a few groceries, but I also had to check out the Star Wars mugs. This awesome Darth Vader mug was on clearance, and I knew I could use it as a little centerpiece. While I was at Walmart, I picked up some clear plastic dinner plates, and I picked up some clear salad dessert plates as well. I wanted to see how they look on top of my chargers. I was thinking a clear plate would be really cool because then you can see all of the star design I have painted underneath, but I also have white china dishes, so I'm going to lay them on top of the chargers so I can see both of the design options. So the first option is to take this ceramic white plate, put it on top, and then I have these white scalloped salad plates. I do really love the elegance of the white plates, but you see a lot less of the star border, but it's still there. I found these clear plates, and I really liked these clear scalloped plates. And I love that you can see a lot more of the galaxy star design through the clear plates. I think that's a really cool look, but it is also slightly less high-end, but I wouldn't have to do dishes with this option. I'm probably not going to decide which plate option I'm going with until I set the table and see all of the decor together and decide which option fits the theme better. This might be a little cheesy doing stars for Star Wars, but I picked up these sheets of craft foam for 99 cents. I have white, gold, and silver. I was planning to cut out some star shapes and hang them above my table as a fun little centerpiece for our Star Wars themed dinner. I traced some star shapes off of my computer and I cut them out of cardboard in a variety of sizes, and I'm going to use these to trace onto the back of the foam. For each star I will cut out the shape twice, so I'm just going to cut out as many stars as I can out of these sheets of paper. These are the star silhouettes I cut out, and these are the sheets of glitter foam. I got 2 of the gold, I believe 4 of the white, and 4 of the silver. I just finished tracing as many stars as I could fit in various sizes onto the back of this sparkly glitter foam sheet, and I am going to cut them out. To make each star, I use 2 cut out, and then I will glue them together like this to create a double-sided star that can hang and be sparkly from both sides. After I had a lot of stars cut out, I'm taking some tacky glue and painting it onto one side of the star. Try to keep the glue thin and paint only the star tips. This will make it easier to string the stars and hang them up later. These are all of the stars that I have glued together, so they are double-sided. And that was from 2 sheets of the sparkly silver foam. Next up, I'm gonna cut up a few sheets of stars of the white sparkly foam. I'm gonna try and get all of my stars cut out before I start stringing them together. Let's string together some stars. Arrange your stars in a pattern. You will need some white sewing thread, an extra long needle. These needles are called doll needles. It might also be helpful to have a pair of pliers. Do a single strand of thread and don't tie a knot at the bottom. For your first star, poke a hole in the tip of the star and tie a knot at the end. Trim off extra thread. For the rest of the stars, you will use the needle to thread through the center of the star. Some of the stars are tricky to pull through, so having a pair of pliers can help you get a better grip. Make sure to leave your extra thread. This is what you will use to hang your stars later. I tried to make each of my strands have different patterns. I also like changing the length and number of stars. Let's talk about the menu because it's going to be out of this world. Since I can't be at Disneyland, I wanted to bring the flavors of Batuu home. I collect themed cookbooks and I have 2 Star Wars cookbooks. I haven't made anything out of this cookbook yet, and I thought Star Wars Day was the perfect excuse to try some fun new recipes from this cookbook. My husband helped me choose the menu because I was having a hard time narrowing down all these delicious recipes on my own. For our main course, we decided to make Ronto wraps. The Ronto wraps are a different variation than they have at the Disney parks, but these look just as delicious. And of course, we have to make the homemade Ronto wrappers to go with our Ronto filling. For our side, we will be making Fritzel Fries. These look really interesting. They're not your typical fry. They have ingredients like tapioca pearls, yogurt, and cheese, but this does look like a really unique food to try, so I'm intrigued to see how it tastes. My mom is going to be making a Naboo galaxy salad. For our drink and dessert, I wanted to lean into the dark side theme and make Kylo Ren's punch, and I loved this drink recipe I found on Pinterest because of its deep red color. I thought that would look really beautiful on the table with some of the other red accents I have. For dessert, I have picked something from the Star Wars Galactic Baking Cookbook, and to go with the dark side theme, I thought it would be fun to make these Imperial Devil's Food brownies that look like the Death Star. It brings in that dark side theming, and they also look delicious. Those are all the recipes we are going to be making for our Star Wars movie night to celebrate May the 4th. At the end of this video, I will be giving a review on all of the recipes we tried and which ones were our favorites. My Star Wars themed dinner is planned for tomorrow night. I have a few DIYs I still want to finish up. I'm hoping this one will be pretty quick and easy. I picked up this beautiful Star Wars fabric from Michaels. I want to cut and sew this into a table runner for the center of my table. I folded my fabric along the edge and then cut off the selvage. I then marked 12 inches from the edge of the fabric and used my ruler and rotary cutter to get a straight line. Here I have my table runner cut out. I did 2 yards, which is 72 inches, and then I cut it to be 12 inches wide. Now what I need to do is take this to my sewing machine and give it a little hem to finish off the raw edges. To make hemming easier, I'm stitching a straight line 1/4 inch from the edge of the fabric. It's a little hard to see, but I have a straight seam 1/4 inch from the edge of the fabric all the way along the side of the fabric. I use that stitch as a guide to fold the fabric over twice, and then you can pin this into place and you will have a little double fold hem at 1/4 inch wide. Take this to your sewing machine and stitch from the wrong side of the fabric so you can see the fold. Stitch right next to the edge going all the way down. I'm folding as I go, so I just double fold my fabric, stitch a few inches, and then keep folding as I go. If you are not as comfortable with sewing, I definitely recommend the pins to help hold things in place while you sew. I just finished hemming both of the sides, so this is what it looks like from the front and the back, and then on the other side. So now that I'm done hemming both the sides, I'm gonna go do the same thing for both of the ends, and then this will be done. This was a super quick DIY. I'm not quite done yet, but I think it's gonna end up taking me less than an hour for the whole project. Switching gears to my StarCraft, I have all of the silver and white stars cut out. I only have a few of the stars glued together, so that's what I need to be working on right now. I now have all of my stars glued together so they are double-sided and ready to be strung and hung up. Hello friends, it's Star Wars Day and I'm so excited to celebrate with my family today. This morning I did a grocery pickup order with Walmart to get all the ingredients I need for my Star Wars themed recipes. I also stopped by the party store to pick up a few little things for my table. I just got some colored melting chocolates and plastic plates. As far as DIY prep goes, I finished painting the last of my Galaxy charger plates last night. I finished cutting out all of my stars and I started stringing them together this morning, but I still need to string a lot more of them together and then hang them up over my table. I also have one last DIY, but I think it's going to be pretty quick and easy. I've saved a few paper towel rolls and I'm going to cut them. I'm going to cover them with gray duct tape and add decorations with paint and electrical tape to make them look like lightsaber hilts. And then I have some red cloth napkins that just arrived in the mail that I am going to put in the lightsaber hilts to do some little dark side lightsabers for the place setting. I think that's going to add a really cool Star Wars moment to the table. I also finished sewing my Star Wars table runner last night, so I'm really excited to put everything together and see how all the elements look. As far as food goes, I just finished making the dough for the Ronto wrappers. That's currently rising and I'll be able to bake it in about an hour or so. The next recipe I'm going to get started on is the Imperial Devil's Food brownies because those need to cook for about 2 hours. So I want to make sure to get them into the oven early enough so I have time for them to cool and decorate them before the party. After I get the brownies into the oven, I get to start on one of my favorite parts for every party, and that is the decorating. For this party, I'm just doing a Star Wars themed table, but I've come up with a few DIY elements that I think are going to come together and create something pretty epic. I have my ingredients prepped to make the Ronto wrap dough. I minced my garlic and then added my hot water and yeast to my oil. Now it's time to add our seasonings. I'm using Italian seasoning and adding 2 tablespoons to the bowl. I added my minced garlic and used my on-brand spoon to mix it all together. The final ingredient we add is flour and mix that together until it becomes a dough. Now it's time to start kneading our bread dough. I'm going to cover my bowl and let this rise for an hour. Now let's make some Imperial Devil's Food brownies. First we're going to add our cocoa powder. This recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of instant coffee granules. I don't drink coffee or like the taste of it, so I'm going to use instant hot chocolate mix instead. Add baking soda. Melt some butter. Add in half of the melted butter and whisk together. Add in boiling water and continue to whisk. Then we add in our sugar, 2 eggs, and the rest of our melted butter. Whisk everything together to combine. Add salt and vanilla. Our last ingredient is adding in flour. Line a 9x13 pan with pan spray and parchment paper. Pour in the brownie batter. Put it into the oven to bake. Our bread dough looks like it has risen beautifully. I divided my dough into 12 equal-sized balls. Flatten each ball and then add it to a frying pan on medium heat. After 3 to 5 minutes, it should be golden and ready to flip and cook on the other side. I realized it was going to take forever to cook all of these breads in one pan, so I decided to get out a second pan so I could cook 2 flatbreads at once. After I finished cooking all of my bread, I had about 30 minutes to try and figure out how to make lightsabers out of paper towel rolls, tinfoil, duct tape, and electrical tape. I wrapped each roll in tinfoil, taping in place, and then using some gray duct tape, I traced a circle to cover the bottom of the tube and cut that out. Next, I used some electrical tape cut into strips. I added 4 to each toilet paper roll to add some decoration to the lightsabers. I cut a piece of gray duct tape in half and put that right on top of the black stripes. Then I used electrical tape to cut 2 little squares to make some buttons for the lightsaber. Then I just needed to repeat the process 5 more times. With our last DIY done, let's decorate and set the table. My inspiration for the table and decorations was black and white Star Wars. I wanted it to look very elegant and classy, but have lots of Star Wars elements. I started out with a white tablecloth and added a piece of gold star tulle on top. Next, I added my black Star Wars table runner to the center of the table. Adding in my DIY black and white Galaxy chargers. I ended up finding the perfect silver-rimmed plates at the party store. They were super affordable and I was able to buy a package of only 8. I think they are the perfect complement to the table and plate settings. I'm going to show you how I roll my cloth napkins to create lightsabers. Fold in half on the diagonal, fold one corner in and roll from the folded edge. Slip into the lightsaber napkin ring. Add lightsaber napkins on top of each place setting. I used some of my Star Wars mugs filled with fake flowers as centerpieces. This BB-8 mug was a thrifted treasure from a while ago. I love how this Darth Vader mug looks filled with greenery and flowers. With our table set and decorated, it's time to finish these Death Star brownies. I used a circle cookie cutter to cut out the brownies and covered with this chocolate glaze. After the glaze had set up, I used a skewer and piping tip to mark the shapes and then sprayed with silver edible spray paint. Let's take a closer look at all of the details of this party. I love how everything came together and complemented each other. I loved how it looked entirely Star Wars, but very classy and elegant at the same time, which was exactly what I was going for. I loved that I was able to put this party together with inexpensive DIYs and items that I already had. I tried to work with items that I had, but put together a new Star Wars table setting. Recipe review. Fun to try, but wouldn't make again. Ronto wraps, amazing. They were so delicious, all the flavors worked so well together. The homemade bread was so yummy, but I think I could improve it in the future. This was an amazing homemade brownie. It was very sweet and rich, but I would definitely make it again. And the theming on this dessert was perfect. I really enjoyed this red sparkling berry punch. I always love a salad with fruit in it. I hope this video inspires you to try making some Star Wars themed food and watch one of your favorite Star Wars movies at home. Please give me a follow if you love themed recipes, making magic at home, or creating fun DIY projects.